Oh, look at that. We're live.
There we go. Nice. Welcome, everyone. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Have some water, whatever you're drinking. Yeah. Um, so, you know, this was our first outing together. And it was wild. We went to we were trying to get to a location that we couldn't get to because the gate was closed. So we had a secondary location picked out. That's where we went. I want Alex to speak and explain to us what he experienced up there. I think that's what we need to do is have you explain it, Alex.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll explain it as best as I can. It was cool being out there, because it's an area of Mount Baker that I haven't been to before. I have to say, in regards to, Mount Rainier, Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, the three other major volcanoes, I have explored Baker the least. So it was cool being out in the area that we got to go to. It would have been nice had we had that gate been open and we were able to take in a little bit more views, but of course it was also very cloudy, because it did start to rain. I don't even remember 10 p.m., something like that. Um, but it was really cool seeing all of the gear that you had, Lee, and being able to actually test out some of it, like the all the different thermals, the parabolic mic, how we traveled very far distances away, a couple hundred feet away from the mic, and we were still able to pick up movements and speech as well with it. So it's always cool to test out that sort of stuff, and of course, seeing everything on a screen and seeing the sound waves being recorded live. That
Yeah,
was also pretty cool.
seeing it visually, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so it was really cool to see all that, and especially it looked cool with all the lighting. So definitely a lot of stuff to set up. I understand why it takes you guys usually 4 hours to do so.
Mhm.
So obviously I didn't really know what to do besides, grab this or grab that, but maybe one of these days I'll be able to help out a little bit more with that.
Oh, good code.
Um,
Takes time.
It does take time. It
A
does.
lot.
And I'm trying to get a system down. That's why I want to do this as much as I can, even if I can get out weekly and just run the gear out and set it up weekly so that I can then formulate a pattern in my mind and how to get things set up faster. If I can get it down to an hour, I would be
Wow, that'd be amazing.
extremely happy. I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, for sure.
right, and I can play it back in my mind. Well, first thing we do out of the gate is run the tripods out, set up all the tripods, right? If I had a way to keep all those um, HDMI cables rolled up a um, in an umbilical, its own, 100 foot or 50 foot umbilical, and then it's just one cable I'm rolling out for 4 or 5 cameras. That would be a better thing to do. Um, we can do that. I can set that up. You know, but that's definitely something that I need to do so that it's a lot faster than what we were dealing with. And then you got all the
Yeah.
monitors that you have to put on the tripods and whatever. But yeah. Anyway, what were you going to say, Alex?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I feel you there. But I was gonna say, you guys heard a couple sets of noises that sadly I did not hear. I think both times those specific noises occurred, we were in the midst of conversation and my attention was focused solely on whatever we were talking about, hence why I didn't even hear anything going on beyond me. But you guys definitely picked up on a few things. um, I wish I had to, but alas, I just did not hear anything. But yeah, other than that, it was cool being just being out there for the night and taking it all in.
Yeah, part of that, you say that Andrew and I heard things. I think that's part of our training.
Yeah,
That
being
we
out there and
It could be, yeah. I mean, it definitely takes a good amount of ear training.
yeah, it's being out there enough to just recognize what's not normal.
right, what stands out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we plan to do more. It sounds like this weekend, Sunday, I might go out with a Bigfoot guy, and look for some things. So that will be fun if that does happen. But now that I've got the time on my hands, I'm gonna do whatever I can do whenever I can do it, even if it's raining, right? And it's supposed to rain this weekend, but I don't care. Were you surprised at the amount of stuff that we had, um, Alex? Not just the amount, but the type of equipment and how in depth it is. Did that surprise you?
I was definitely surprised by that for sure. Because I remember Andrew at one point had told me, "Oh yeah, Lee has is X amount of money invested into gear," and the first thing I was thinking of is, okay, there's going to be a whole bunch of just all of this, just different type of gear, and yeah, there was.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, because I mean, as I told you guys when we were out there, when I went call blasting for Bigfoot with my uncle, we had parabolic mics and night vision goggles. But the parabolic mic wasn't as it didn't have as many capabilities as yours did, especially when you were able to attach the screen and get this whole other part of it set up. So yeah, it was really cool to mess around with all that and just see how it works in general.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, we have yeah, we've got that, and then you just basically hooking up 3 channels of audio to the parabolic mic. That's unique too. You got
Yeah.
your mono channel and your left and your right. I mean, so you've got 3 channels you can work with. That's a lot of data coming into the mic. And it's a darn good piece of equipment. I'm sorry if I'm pretty well drained, guys. So
No
that's
worries.
why I'm.
It
Welcome to
seems
the
like we
club.
all are.
We all are, yeah. Especially after this weekend, guys. Like I'm
Uh,
still recovering. That's why I'm drinking energy drink right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
5:20
I
p.m.
guess I'm the only one who's had a decent amount of energy. I've just been sleeping a little bit later than I should be, but it happens.
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever
And
you
I
gotta
was
do. Mhm.
I was on late last night, on spaced out radio. So that
I was definitely hoping we were gonna talk about that. How did it go?
it went very well. Okay,
Nice.
very well. People, and I listened back to the conversation that we had last night today. But I can critique the heck out of myself. But everybody that did watch it was really impressed at how well that I did.
Uh,
And I talked about Andrew and Lee on the trail, and come to our channel, watch our stuff because it's freaking incredible. And I talked about other opportunities that we're going to have to work with some other people, to get more experience in the realm of Bigfoot, because we need that experience, because we are out there doing that as well. But we need some to go out with some people that have a lot more experience in it than we do. Just so we've got UFOs down pat all day, no problem. But Sasquatch stuff, it's a little different, and there's a lot more, I think, than just pointing your camera into the woods, right? And which is really pretty much what we do with the sky, right? Go to a hot spot and point the cameras into the sky and say, all right, we're ready to go. Here we are. That's the Sasquatch thing it's a lot more to learn, especially when it comes to tracking, and where the Sasquatch might be going through from one location to another to look for sources of food and that sort of thing, all the way down to gathering evidence, uh, hair samples and those sorts of things. I have no idea how to do that properly. We can Google it, we can look it up and get the bags and the gloves and the tweezers and make sure everything's sanitized and the whole evidence kit, right? But I would rather go out and learn from somebody that has done it before, and Craig Yanni for us is that guy. Um, definitely. I definitely want to work with him and get a better understanding of that realm, you know. But there's a lot going on. I was just invited today onto another podcast next week. So a podcast, not a radio show. Dave Scott's a radio show plus podcast, and he's got terrestrial stations all over in New Zealand and Europe and that carry his show. So that was a big deal for me. And I from what I understand, I handled it very well. you know,
Nice.
yeah. But this is the thing. I want to get to the point, here we're doing this show together right now. It's become a weekly thing. It's kind of like a show. And I want to bring other guests on to this show. I want to bring Craig in here. And there's another friend that I have, a good friend of mine, Jackie, who I would also like to get in here too, and talk about her Bigfoot experiences and whatnot, because we need more of that. We can talk all day, like I said before, about UFOs, but when it comes to Bigfoot, we have a lot to learn, especially as a crew, as a group, right? So, yeah, that's needed. What's the biggest thing about this weekend that stood out for you, Alex? What was your biggest takeaway?
Not sure. I mean, it was a lot to take in.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. I guess if there was anything I could say about that, maybe just being more alert and um being ready to hear anything at any time, because most of the times I feel like this stuff, at least for me, happens when I least expect it to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually went away from this weekend kind of upset a little bit at myself.
Why? What do you mean? What happened?
Well, because for me it didn't feel like doing our roots. It didn't feel like the Ander and Lee that I know, where it's much more calm. It was definitely more of a party atmosphere. I partook in that party atmosphere, I think, a little bit more than I had realized. Um, it seems like we always go out to have fun. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? And we don't go out there to work. We go out there to have a good time and to point our cameras in the sky and mess around with, crazy, awesome tech, right? And listen to some music and whatnot. But I think, and looking back, it was like, man, we didn't even really play the normal things that we would have played.
But may I say something in fairness?
Yeah.
Um, and I know we haven't even mentioned this, so the people watching wouldn't know, but from the very beginning, when we got to our second location, I mean, we got to admit, things were already off. I mean, we were basically at a shooting range. When you watch
Yes.
our video, when we post our video and watch it, you're gonna hear all kinds of gunshots in the background. So, and we had people
Wow.
around us the whole time, and they were going crazy. And yeah, I mean, thankfully, it took kind of ironic. Thankfully it took long to set up everything, because by the time we were done setting everything up, most people that were there for that reason had already left. There was maybe like one large group, and then another truck pulled up, and they were shooting for a while, but it was, I mean, I would say, yeah, I definitely felt like it was kind of off, and it didn't, that part to me was what threw everything off as far as it not feeling like something we did. Because when I think of the Andrew and Lee stuff, it's always like out in the remote spot, somewhere where we're not, I know it sounds selfish, but I don't mean it to, but sharing the area with other people. I mean, obviously, people are going to go out and do their thing. That's cool. But, this is the hand we were dealt for this episode. So we did the best we could.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like usually we play like the flute music at night and whatnot and really get into the zone. It just didn't feel like we were in the zone, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, I
It
mean, yeah, I mean, again, I
and
just go
partly, like I said, partly that was partly my fault too, because well, listening to Alex's music, okay, let's play some of my music, and you know what I mean? And it just never really materialized for me. And I, like I said, the next day I was like, gosh darn it, you know. Um, I was just upset at myself, you know?
Hmm, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like for me, it was just yeah, again, just very odd as far as how everything as far as that went out. And then it was kind of disappointing that it got cloudy on us. But again, that's just how it is, right? And we
That
were
is,
hoping it'd clear up, and it never, not this time. It's interesting. The cloud layer got pretty thin for a small period of time. I was able to take some photos where you can actually see the stars.
right.
Um, but that was as clear as it got. And we couldn't really see that with our eyes. Had it been a lot clearer, that sky out there is beautiful.
Yeah, it's dark out there, right? And that's what we look for. Away from the city, way away from the cities, to get into the most dark places, dark skies we can. That's when the stars really shine, and so do the UFOs.
Totally. Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, so we'll know for next time for sure, I will try to contact uh ranger up at Baker and find out when that gate opens, and it might just depend on the season and the snow levels and the different things. And
Right.
it just seemed odd to me that that gate was closed. It really did, because if you think about snowmobilers and whatnot, they're gonna just plow up through there. Why would that gate be closed? It's a snow park area. There's signs everywhere that say snow park, um, to have that gate closed.
I
Uh,
wonder if it's year round then.
it's not.
That'd be a possibility.
The gate is open a lot of the year because there's trailheads up there. One of the trailheads, is Blue Lake Trailhead right up there. So um, we're giving our next spot away. Actually, we actually did last week when we pointed it out on Google Earth, but it doesn't matter. And that's what I said last night. I said besides us, people need to take their cameras and their cell phones and whatnot and go to Baker, go to Adams, and just start taking random pictures, take video at night, do all the stuff that we do in the same locations, right? Um,
That way they can see like, hey, we're not faking stuff. I know some people for a while thought that, didn't they? It was
oh
like,
yeah, they still do. They still do.
oh, really?
Post a montage of all the UFO activity that we've captured, or some of it, and people like, no way this one crew captures all of this stuff. It's impossible. Well, it is possible because we do it, and we do it on multiple cameras, and with different, capturing different colors of light and different wavelengths of light, infrared, and full spectrum, and the whole nine, regular cameras too. It just the other thing that was of huge interest to me, Andrew, and I really want you to go into this deep, is how many freaking batteries
I knew you were gonna
died
bring that up. Yeah,
out of nowhere.
that was so frustrating. I mean, we've had that happen to camera too, but for the number of things that just failed us on this trip alone was, I mean, it was hard to ignore. Let's see. So there was the two GoPro cameras in your truck. We had one on each.
Three of them. All three.
All three? Wait, what was the third one?
The two GoPro 10s and the
In the
GoPro
car,
11
in the truck, right?
in the truck.
Right, those are the
All
two in the
of
truck.
them, brand new batteries at the same time I put in that morning were dead. Boom,
And,
gone.
yep, and then
And I
my
go,
phone,
yeah, your phone. Mhm.
my phone was charged all night, and by the time we got to like Gold Bar or wherever that was, yeah, it was like at 20%.
Yeah, that's oh,
Does look like
Cedar
it,
Woolley.
Oh, well, yeah,
No, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
but more into like the outside of like, like between the cities and stuff like that. Little farm areas kind of remind me of that. So that's why I got a little confused as far as that. But
Right.
what else was there? There was, I mean, obviously the GoPros. Wasn't there like one of the monitors? There were some monitors that had that issue too, right?
Two of the monitor batteries, both drained out. Yep, and I had to put new monitor batteries in, and I sat there all night the night before and made sure that stuff is charged. So, when the charger is, which I've got it sitting over there, tells me that the battery's charged to 100%, and I put it in my battery bag, and then put it in there in the monitor, and all of a sudden it's telling me it's a dead battery. That doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, plus it's frustrating as hell. I
Yeah,
mean, we obviously depend on these things for our stuff to work. I mean, we're talking batteries here, so
right. And
it's not gonna work without it.
and most of those batteries for that equipment is all proprietary. In a lot of cases, however, we've got battery packs, right? So that we can run
Ours.
some cameras off some battery packs, but a lot of it is proprietary. And you have to have a certain type of battery to run it. That's all there is to it, you know. So you lose a battery like that, you're going to spend a couple hours charging it back up to put it in that piece of equipment. So now that piece of equipment could be down. However, luckily we have multiple batteries for each piece of equipment, but still it could happen, especially if we went on like a multi-day trip, which we do,
Yeah. Oh, that
you
would
could
be
be,
so bad.
yeah, you could be down for hours without that piece of equipment while your batteries are charging, just because some fluke happened and there might have been a magnetic field that was nearby. I don't know that drains batteries. I have no idea, but it happens, especially when you're doing this paranormal type research. And that's the funny thing, I wanted to get into this last night with Dave Scott because he brought it up. He kept calling me a researcher, like, and I was like, man, I'm not necessarily a researcher. I'm just interested in the subject. But time and time again, he said, no, because of what you do, what you put into this, you're basically a researcher. And that really took my self-esteem up a notch, Um, and I really appreciated that.
That's awesome. Well, it's true. Yeah. I mean, you're collecting data.
Yeah, exactly. We are collecting data. If you guys want, I could share that video with you, so that you guys can watch it at your leisure. It's about a 2 hour video, with the interview with Dave Scott.
Isn't that already on our page? It's
It
not on.
is.
Okay, sweet.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, we've got another event coming up on the 25th, on Sunday the 25th, where I'll be at the mini conference, and that will be really cool. I'm expecting my mother to show up there, which is awesome, give a little bit of support for me, which will be great. And that's with SUFON. That's with the SUFON group. So that's good. That's good. Seattle UFO Network is what they stand for. That's how Andrew and I met the first time, is through SUFON. It's a great great experience, and you know, there's a lot of great people that are in that group. So, um,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
young friends.
right. So we need to discuss what's next for us, guys. What are we doing next? Where are we going? When is this happening? When can we clear some time out of our busy schedules to get together, to head back out into the woods and commune with the trees and everything that lives in the trees in the sky? Yeah. Um, so what is it looking like for you guys for next month? Let's go. What about March 9th and 10th? So basically same sort of situation. We head out on the, you know, on the 9th and come back the 10th, destroyed completely, utterly.
Tired and
Oh my God.
Cool.
All right.
Got that in
Calendar.
me calendar.
Yep, same.
Like I said, we'll have to determine where it's going to happen. Um, approximate, you know. I have another idea as well. But same sort of situation, just different location, a quieter location. You know, so none of us are heads are ringing after the experience.
True.
All that gunfire, I'll tell you what, I was
Oh.
trying to hide my head in the back of the truck, just bury it in there, like, oh my gosh.
My
Yeah,
ears are still ringing.
Oh,
really, man. I told you guys I had that I had that toilet paper. You guys should have made some makeshift
yeah, we
earplugs
had
like I did.
we had headphones too. It's not like, you know, we didn't have
I mean,
anything,
that's true,
you know,
but you didn't.
but you didn't put it on your head, you know. Oh, by the way, there's a gentleman, another gentleman that used to do a lot of paranormal investigation, that I just got in contact with too, who might be a really good source of some really good Bigfoot information as well in the area of Concrete, Washington, close to where you know, we usually go. So you know, this networking thing's really starting to happen for us, and that's a really good and positive thing. Um, definitely, definitely. You know, as we move forward and as we get larger, and it seems like now that I've got my hands in it and really got my hands in it as like a daily thing now. Yeah, it's looking good. It really is. You know, I need to get this other piece of equipment, the thing that I flashed at you guys. Uh-huh. The other, what, 2 weeks ago or whatever, that little box. I talked to Dave Scott about that, but we really need to get it into play. The only thing is it takes a laptop to run. Uh, that's the biggest deal.
Wait, are we talking about Starlink or?
Oh, we're talking about that little box with the cord, that little tiny thing that I flashed in the camera.
Oh, oh yeah, your little keeping us in suspense.
Yeah. So, um, we need to get that figured out because it does take a computer to run that device. And then there's a piece of software that I got to put on the computer for it as well. Run a cable to the computer from the device to the computer. And how are we going to, you know, put the computer in the setup that I have here behind me, and how is that going to work? That's the biggest thing that I've got to figure out.
I already got you figured out.
You
We already
do?
talked about this. Yeah, we already talked about this. All you need is the little portable table, remember, that you can have, that you can move some of that stuff and put it on there. Remember we talked
Yeah.
about this?
So yeah, we do have a like a little Rubbermaid, you know, folding table. The other thing that happened, guys, over the weekend is, you know, when we did hook up Starlink, that thing drew so much juice, like so quick from our battery pack. So I was stunned. And we need to figure out how to curb its power consumption. So I don't know is if we go live with Starlink, you know, say we do, because that's why we built the Procast, is to go live, and share the data. We might have to, like, maximum time limit of 2 hours with Starlink, and then we'd have to shut it off. I mean, I really don't want to give it a time frame of like, oh, we can only run it for 2 hours and then we're SOL. But with the price of those battery packs being like this one that's, where is it? Right there. It's like a $700 battery pack, and they're going to get more expensive from there. And some of them are $2,000. I mean, and I'm not ready to drop that kind of money on equipment right now. Not in the cards. So, like I say, 2 hours maximum. We run the Starlink and, transmit our data and camera views to everybody else out there who wants to watch.
Right on.
Yeah. You know, yeah. So that's what we'd have to do. And we'd run Starlink for, maybe 3 months during the summer or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that works. By the way, what was the battery at after from running Starlink? Do you remember what was left as far as the percentage?
Yeah, so we ran Starlink, and all of our other equipment off this. I'm backwards. This battery pack right here, the one that's over my left shoulder. That thing dropped down to like 40% by the time we were done. I had to pull Starlink off of that and put it on my reserve battery pack, and it smoked that reserve battery pack. I mean, that thing dropped to like 30% within the matter of about 45 minutes.
Are you serious? Holy
Oh yeah.
crap.
Don't you? I think I had Alex smell it because it got hot. I was like,
Oh yeah,
that's
I remember
right.
smelling that.
this thing's
I
burning
do remember
up.
that.
So maybe the thought is that we take that smaller battery pack, because all of this equipment behind me doesn't need to run on the big battery pack. Maybe we put it on the reserve and just keep the big battery pack for the Starlink. It might work.
Hmm.
We'd
Not a
have
bad
to
idea.
test it out and try it. That's what we do, right? Test things out, try them out, see if they work. So yeah, we'll get together on the 9th and 10th, and then do this all over again.
Yes, hopefully
Can I
better
get an
weather
amen?
too. Amen.
Amen.
There we go. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about tonight as far as our experience out there? We heard some noises from the brush, and we've flung the thermal camera around. We really didn't see a whole lot. One of the things that we could have done with that thermal camera better is we could have set it up on top of the truck. That way we could have had the full 365-degree view. You know what I mean? Of the
That's a great
Mm.
idea.
and
That's a great idea.
and just leave the tablet on its own tripod, right in front of whoever's watching it. Just the tablet alone and your remote controller, right? And that would be a lot better. We would be able to see in all the directions that we wanted to see, right?
You're talking about the little rotator thing, right? That had the little remote.
Yeah,
We would put the thermal on top of that. So the people who don't know what we're talking about, he has like this, what would you even call it exactly? It's like
it's a pan and tilt, it's a pan and tilt rig for that sits on a tripod. It's got a remote, so you just hit the remote like button up, and it'll pan up and it'll pan down, and it'll actually yes, so it'll do all of that stuff with just the remote. And that way you're not, constantly up there trying to adjust where the camera's looking. You can just use the remote and do it. Yeah.
it's very convenient. I like that actually. And it was
Yeah.
really smooth too.
It's pretty smooth. there's a couple times, depending on how heavy the camera that you put on it, it'll be a little jerky or a little shaky, depending, if you're, panning one direction and you go back the other way or something like that, it might jerk a little bit, but it's pretty decent for the price that I paid for it. Any other words of advice with things that we can do better out there, do you think? I mean, we already talked about the umbilical cord, right? Maybe we get it all in one sleeve. That way it's all the HDMI cables are together and we don't have to roll out of all the individual cables themselves.
Yeah, like grouping wires together, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So, anything you guys can think of, to make things smoother. One thing that we talked about when we were out there is that we used the Zoom 6 for the parabolic mic, and we'd have to get another Zoom 6. I also came across another device that's also a Zoom product. It's like a Zoom H4 or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
For what we need it for inside the cab here to just capture audio. That'll work for us then. Yeah, we'll have to plan our next outing and where we're gonna go. We'll talk about that once I shut off Facebook. Then we'll talk about some other things.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. I mean, what's really cool too is when we're out there in the quarry, when we were doing our night watches, that we have all of these canopies that to keep our equipment dry, keep us dry, when it does crap on us with, rain. I mean, so that's good. It did its job,
Absolutely.
And
I love those things.
it wasn't windy enough to keep blowing over either. Like
Alex didn't get to experience that this time.
Yeah, right. We were sitting pretty good, that's for sure. All right, guys, we're gonna shut it off from Facebook right now, and then we will talk about some other stuff, and I better make sure that we shut it off from Facebook this time. Not have a situation like we did last week. All right, hold on a second.